Well, next tonight, less than 10 years after being crowned the champions of English football in one of probably the most astonishing sporting stories of all time, Leicester City have now been relegated to League One, the third level. It's only the second time in their history that's happened, and it is a striking fall from grace for a club who were the FA Cup holders and they were playing in Europe, and that was just 4 years ago. Well, Colin Haslam is down at the King Power Stadium for us this evening. Good evening to you, Colin. I mean, not a great day for Leicester. Why on earth has all this happened?
Oh, goodness, how long have you got? We could put it in brutally simple terms, which is that a very talented group of footballers playing for really quite a big club simply didn't deliver. The final end of the road was here last night. Leicester had to beat Hull City to have any faint hope at all, but they ended up drawing the match and the drop was confirmed. A third relegation in 4 years, and as you say, only the second time that Leicester have fallen this low.
Was it a real shock this season?
Last night in itself, no, we've been expecting it for a while, but relegation overall, yes, and it's much more complicated than I painted it earlier on. The first relegation from the Premier League of this sequence 3 years ago was a massive financial blow. They've never really properly recovered from. There have been points deductions for breaking financial rules, recently 4 managers in 20 months, but even so, you would have thought the Foxes were better than this. Owen Shipton has been assessing the impact on the city.
The food's fresh, but the mood in Leicester certainly isn't.
It'll be devastating for the city. You know, obviously attendances are going to go down.
My husband's sad because we came here when they're doing really well and we followed them all over the place.
Well, I don't really know. I think it's a bit shame that they can't do better than they do, but
it'll make a massive difference to Leicester itself.
I don't know who to blame though, whether it's the manager or whether it's the players, I don't know.
It's such a contrast, isn't it, to 10 years ago?
5,000 to 1 for the Premier League, and not long after, FA Cup.
Foxes fan Dinesh Chatwani has been running a merchandise shop for 34 years of highs and lows.
Anywhere you go in the world, and if you ask, Leicester City, they'll know. We won the Premier League in 2016, and here we are 10 years later, in League One. Who would have thought? But again, we'll get back up there and, think positive.
On a sunny day in the city centre, talkative football fans, other than the ones you've already seen, were thin on the ground. Quite hard to find a Leicester fan who's willing to speak to us today, and maybe after 3 relegations in 4 seasons, that's no surprise. Certainly, the ones we have spoken to have been quite down. So, how can they lift their spirits?
This team is such a symbol for Leicester, isn't it? 10 years ago we were celebrating a very big win. It was absolute, party in the streets across Leicester, and you could feel it was palpable, it was energised. But I think it's good to remember that we've had successes as well. And I think these defining moments, they're learning experiences, and that's something that you can rally together and it can be community building for the future as well.
As bad as this relegation seems then, are there reasons to be positive?
Well, you got to look back to what happened before we got promoted. We went down to the League One, we bounced back up, we won the Premiership 2 seasons later. So maybe this is a sign of things to come.
It's a positive take.
Yeah, you've got to take it as a positive.
Make no mistake, this is a low point for Leicester, but they've been here before and recovered. They'll be hoping to do it again. Owen Shipton, BBC East Midlands Today, Leicester.
And I'll be back a bit later on in the programme to look at the sporting impact and think about where Leicester City go from here.
OK, Colin, thanks. We'll see you later. Well, it is time now for sport. Obviously, we've already been talking about the main story, the fall of Leicester City into third tier of English football less than 10 years after they were Premier League champions. We've seen reaction in the city. Now let's talk about the sporting side. Let's go back to Colin at the King Power Stadium. Back to you, Colin.
Yes, very good evening once again. This place behind me seen a tears, anger, protests last night. There was an apology from the Leicester City captain. The Foxes owner took responsibility. The manager said the club now had to act decisively. The final act of this slow motion side into League One, a draw with Hull City, ended up being played out in front of a sea of empty seats and in front of Angela Rafferty.
This football club that just 10 years ago was the wonder of the footballing world has reached its lowest ebb, relegated to the third tier of English football for just the second time.
They have gone from the impossible to the unthinkable. 10 years after lifting the Premier League trophy, relegation to League One. Heartbreak for the Foxes fans.
And I'll use you as a warning sign that if you're talking out of sense, then you'll lose your mind.
I'm just gutted really, but to be fair, it was inevitable. It's been a really bad season.
Overall, it's been abysmal, absolutely abysmal. And I'm just sorry that it's ended in this state.
And I moved further than I thought I could.
FA Cup, Premier League, Champions League quarter-finals, seen everything, but it doesn't take it away. So yeah, just gutted, heartbroken and upset really, that's all I can say.
A disastrous season on and off the pitch, it all came down to this. The empty seats inside the stadium told their own story. A must-win game for Leicester against high-flying Hull. It wasn't to be. A gifted goal to Liam Miller put the visitors ahead. A second-half penalty put away by Jordan James gave the home fans some hope, and Leicester briefly went ahead. Luke Thomas lifting the spirits of the long-suffering supporters.
Puts them into the lead. They need a win if they're to survive in the Championship. Has Luke Thomas.
But it proved to be too little, too late. A leveller from Hull enough to seal Leicester's fate. Relegated to the third tier for only the second time in their history, the footballing dream is now a nightmare.
Disappointed. I think the fans equally have paid their hard-earned money. And they will be incredibly disappointed to see their football club that, of course, 10 years ago won the Premier League. I know there's a roller coaster about being a football club fan at times, but I probably wouldn't expect that roller coaster to be quite so extreme.
They are hurting, we are hurting. Sorry for them. We take responsibility. We are the ones that's to blame.
The big question is, what now for Leicester? League One football and an uncertain future.
Well, a rough night for Leicester, a rough season all round. So relegations, they have a massive sporting effect, but of course this is modern sports, so they have a big financial impact as well. Just how big? Well, let's ask football finance expert Kieran Maguire of Liverpool University and the Price of Football podcast. Kieran, thanks for joining us. I've seen some of your analysis already. I think your feeling is that Leicester really will be hit very hard by this relegation to League One.
Yes, it will be significant. There's back-to-back relegations to deal with. There's also what appears to be the case in that Leicester City have sold their parachute payments from the Premier League for both the current season and next season. So those monies are going directly to the lender. For some of the players that they've sold as well, those transfer fee instalments, they have been sold and therefore Leicester won't get the receipts. And they've got a very significant footballing costs in the sense that the wage bill the last time they were in the Championship was over £100 million. That compares to a £9 million average in League One. So there's a lot of cash leaving the club and there's not a lot of cash coming in.
That all sounds really stark. Is there a way for them to restructure, stay competitive and stay within those financial fair play rules we always talk about so much with you?
I think they will have to sell their best players. They will attempt to get some of the highest earners off the wage books, but that won't be easy. But even so, there is going to be a financial black hole looking at the numbers. And you then have to ask yourself, where's that funding going to come from? But again, I think you've got to look to the owners. Are they willing to continue to put money into Leicester City Football Club? And secondly, do they physically have the cash to do so? Because they're running their own business. and that's not necessarily going to be generating a lot of cash itself.
Kieran, thank you ever so much for joining us and talking us through that. Now then, back to events at Leicester City, where, as we've been hearing, lots of the blame for what's happened, this relegation to League One, has fallen on the people running the club. Chairman and owner Kun Top released a statement late last night saying the responsibility sits with me, there are no excuses, and saying the objective was to respond strongly and to move forward together. As he left the stadium, he had an exchange with fans about just why the Foxes were in this state.
I cannot blame anyone. I can blame myself if you want to. But it's not right. I try everything. I think we all try. Players try. I know that is not enough. It's not about who is wrong now. It's about how next. What's next.
Something has
try.
to change, though. We need answers. Change, please.
I will try.
Please, and then please pause.
Well, let's talk to some long-term fans about all of this. Now, Colin Hall, Ian Basin, thank you so much for coming out to join us. Colin, listen, lots of blame to go around. Where's it sitting for you?
I think we've had year after year where we've made mistake after mistake, and eventually we've had to face the consequences.
So, well, let's look ahead then, Ian. How do they fix this? How do they fix it on the field, first of all?
On the field, it's a big rebuild. I think fans have lost the faith in a lot of the current players. I think as much as you possibly can, we need a big refresh. Certainly fans will back younger players, the youth guys, so get a few of them in and some experienced heads to help them.
We heard there from Kieran Maguire talking about how just tricky things are off the field, how tricky it is with the money. Can you see solutions there?
I think there are solutions to be found. I think the company can raise sources of revenue as it's done in the last couple of seasons. The question is, how much of the revenue can be reinvested into strengthening the side and getting the team we can be proud of again?
Yeah, because the fear is you spiral a little bit, and that can happen all round a club, can't it? So how do they get you guys back on side? Because it was pretty toxic last night at times.
It was. I wasn't protesting myself, but I think the main thing is to talk to the fans, particularly the people like the CEO. There's a new CEO, there's a new sporting director, particularly from the sporting side. There needs to be a vision for the fans to get behind, and that needs to come from the sporting guys at the club.
Would you agree with that? It's all about the talking to you, involving you as fans?
Absolutely, and if we can find another manager like we did with Nigel Pearson the last time we were in League One, then I think we can move forward and rebuild, because people know that we've bounced back before and we can do so again.
OK, Colin, Ian, thank you both so much for joining us, much appreciated. Leicester do actually have 2 more games to play, including here at the King Power on Friday night. That will be a very interesting evening indeed.
Oh, your heart goes out to them. Thanks very much indeed for that, Colin.